Mr. Speaker, I thank the gentleman, my friend from Oklahoma, for yielding me the necessary, customary 30 minutes. While I support research and development incentives and consider encouraging American businesses to research, innovate, build, and make it in America, some of Congress's most important duties, I rise today in opposition to this rule and the underlying bill. 4 months ago, my friends on the other side of the aisle allowed emergency unemployment insurance for more than 1.3 million Americans to expire. During the Farm Bill negotiations, my friends on the other side of the aisle insisted on cutting $8.6 billion from nutrition assistance programs. Last week, Republicans on the Ways and Means Committee insisted on removing a $12 million provision that would help foster children who are victims of self-trafficking. I find that ironic because this happens to be Foster Care Month. They also fought tooth and nail to derail disaster assistance to the victims of Hurricane Sandy and almost succeeded. Furthermore, they've triggered a government shutdown and sequestration cuts that have drastically cut non-defense discretionary spending by $294 billion. And the reason offered for all these austerity measures still hamstring our recovery. Why can't the Republicans pass a bill to create jobs by improving our crumbling infrastructure? Well, deficit reduction, I guess, is the answer. Yet this bill, a favorite of big business without question, will add $156 billion to the deficit. Tax policy in general and the extenders package specifically is about prioritizing the needs of our country. Dozens of temporary tax provisions that expired at the end of 2013 and several others scheduled to expire at the end of this year have been skipped over. They've passed up the chance to renew the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, which helps veterans get work, and the New Markets Tax Credit, which helps vitalize communities. They've chosen to ignore renewable energy tax credits and tax credits to help working parents pay for child care. They've decided that it is not important to extend deductions for teachers' out-of-pocket expenses, qualified tuition and related expenses, mortgage insurance premiums, and state and local sales tax, a deduction which is critical for our constituents in Florida. My friends on the other side of the aisle would allow charitable provisions, including the enhanced deduction for contributions of food inventory and provisions allowing for tax-free distributions from retirement accounts for charitable purposes to expire rather than renew them. This bill today and the other extenders, there were 6 of them that were marked up by the Ways and Means Committee, are the 6 extenders favored by big business. That is why these will be the first and likely the only of the extenders, and there are 50 plus of them overall that the House will vote on. That is why these are the measures my friends want to make permanent. And while I agree, particularly with the one that's being discussed, that it should be made permanent, they have no problem increasing the deficit so long as it is a policy that is a priority for them and for big business. I reserve the balance of my time. I'm going to take my good friend's point where I made the statement that we would have an opportunity to finally vote on something worthwhile and take that finally out and replace it with something more worthwhile. than some of the things that he pointed out that I certainly agree with, and many particulars were certainly measures that were important to us. But I can't resist adding to Mr. Cardenas's appeal with reference to H.R. 15 and point out that 40% of the 500 Fortune 500 companies were founded by an immigrant or a child of an immigrant. 28% of all companies founded in the United States in just the year 2011 had immigrant founders. 76% of the patents that the top 10 U.S. patent-producing universities had at least one foreign-born inventor. Immigrant-owned businesses generated more than $775 billion in revenue for the economy in 2011. I could go on and on. I shall not, but it's important, I believe, that if not this vehicle, some vehicle become the one that allows us to deal with things like the H-1B visa. For example, when we put the cap on it in the last tranche, we achieved that cap in 5 days. And availability of H-1B numbers a growing problem for the U.S. STEM competitiveness again. It's something that we need to deal with, must deal with, and now I turn finally to the research credit measure that we are dealing with. It is an important provision that should be extended. Since its enactment in mid-'81, as has been pointed out by my colleagues, Congress has extended the provision 15 times and significantly modified it 5 times. However, it's not just what we do that matters, it's how we do it that also matters. This will be the 57th close rule, which means most members will not even get a chance to make changes to the bill. This bill violates the revenue floor of the Ryan budget that Republicans passed only 3 weeks ago, meaning the Rules Committee will have to get yet another special waiver, or have to give one. Republicans have waived their own cut-go rule 15 times since taking over the House. Republicans insist that comprehensive tax reform be deficit neutral, but won't hold these permanent changes to the same standard. In fact, they're using these measures to hide the cost of comprehensive tax reform. They aren't just moving the goalposts, they're changing the game as it's being played. Madam Speaker, there's something inconsistent between what my friends say and what they do, and I find that very disturbing. Hiding behind a mantra of austerity only when it's convenient is, in my view, irresponsible and opportunistic at best. Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to insert the text of the amendment in the record along with extraneous material immediately prior to the vote on the previous question.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I urge my colleagues to vote no and defeat the previous question. I urge a no vote on the rule, and I'm very pleased at this time to yield back the balance of my time.